For decades, the north of England has been at the heart of the UK music industry, with bands such as Oasis, Arctic Monkeys, Stone Roses and of course the Beatles, just to name a few. But how did these great bands get started? I've come to the Old Chapel Studios in Leeds to find out what role they play in helping unsigned talent gain entry into one of the most cutthroat industries in the world.
We've got 5 rehearsal rooms with equipment. People come here, rehearse, write. It's a place where you can come and make a noise and not annoy the neighbours. It's also a place where you meet other bands and you just, I think you said earlier on there was a bit of a community vibe going on here, which is true. People know each other, they share information, they share resources, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a hub of activity really.
It's all going on there.
Mark Hubbard, founder of the Old Chapel, is passionate about new music. How did it all start?
I took it over when I was playing in a band in the early 90s, looking for a rehearsal studio. Worked part-time as a civil servant for some months and used to run this in the evenings, and eventually took it over and run it full-time, started doing more stuff during the day. Been here ever since.
So who are the people that come here? What's your typical age range?
From 10, 11, 12 through to old men that have been playing the blues and are now pensioners. I play with one of those bands. There's no sort of entry requirements. You can be young, you can be old, you can be doing any kind of music you like. As long as you're interested in music, that's all we ask for people to come down here and use the facilities.
We're the Scandals. I'm Ollie, play guitar.
I'm Joe and I play bass.
I'm Matty, I play drums.
I'm James and I play guitar and sing.
We joined in school. I'm the year above, but we just joined in school, and it's like a good escape to get out of the school to practice in like a proper place. It makes us feel like a proper band. Really is, yeah. It's quite a comfort thing as well. Practicing in school all the time makes us feel a bit young and a bit indoorsy, but yeah, no, it's good to get out.
If we didn't come here, there would be nowhere else to practice really.
Yeah, we can just come here and just spend time on anything that we've got ideas and stuff, which is good.
This has got all equipment for microphones and PA, which you don't have at home, so just give you a better practice as like a group instead of just like guitars and stuff.
Yeah, plus there's no distractions in here. In here it's our band, we do what we want to do. If there's like TVs on and things, it's not too helpful and stuff, but yeah, it's quite a good, it's a comfort zone.
How important is it to you to help unsigned talent?
Entirely what we do here really. I mean, the ethos of the place is really to try and get people started and get them into the industry, so it's always the first rung on a ladder. There have been a few very successful bands come out of here. Some of them have gone on to success and you've never seen them again. Others keep coming back. So those are the ones I'd really like to encourage, because if they keep coming back, it encourages the next generation and such like.
Now, you've personally met a lot of unsigned bands. How would you describe the struggles that they face in the music industry?
It's a very cutthroat business, as you know. I do think most of the people that make a success of it are doing it not because they want to be famous. They're doing it because they love what they do. It's their art and it's the only way they can express themselves. So those kind of people don't really care whether they are successful. They are successful by just producing what they do. So they may be playing in a pub down the road or they may be playing at an arena, but as long as they're happy doing what they're doing, that's great. There are obviously hurdles to try and sell that, much more so these days I think than ever, but at the same time you've got the access to the internet that you didn't have 10, 15 years ago, so getting your product out there isn't a problem. It's making a living doing it is the problem. Obviously even the big bands I think make more money in touring and merchandise these days than they ever do in record sales.
In this quiet area of Holbeck, the Old Chapel might not look much. In fact, you could easily drive past it and not even notice. However, the studios are not just visited by unsigned talent. They are also the birthplace of some of the biggest names in UK music. In fact, this very room provides rehearsal space for these guys.
The Kaisers started coming here in the mid-90s. I think there were possibly 16, 17 when they started down here. They started Runston, Parva, and then Parva. Then, like a rocket, it's been fascinating to watch that. It's the best example we've got of how you really have to work at it before you get somewhere. There have been other bands that have got a certain way and then given up. They were one of those that never did. They always intended to make a career of it, and it took a long time, but paid off big time.
What's your favourite story from the old chapel?
The Irregulars were a young band, and they still are. They were playing Ruby by the Kaiser Chiefs in the room next door, and the Kaisers just happened to come in to pick up some gear, and they heard them playing, and they just walked in on them. As luck would have it, somebody had a little camcorder and filmed that sort of interaction. They didn't stop playing. They finished the song, give them their due. These guys were like 14 at the time, so they did go slightly red, but hats off to them. They completed the song and had a chat with the Kaisers, and they've become quite firm friends now. How much do you charge for a recording session? Oh, it's cheap as chips, and it's the same for everybody. That's another principle I've always tried to work on, stupidly. The famous bands and those with large bank accounts still pay the same as anybody else who is actually paying for it down here. But this room, for instance, charge £9 an hour for a room with a PA. We do hire out bits of backline and other equipment and such like, but I try to keep it affordable so that people can spend more time here.
From looking at the studio's height wall, it's obvious there are many young musicians, but what do their families think of the old chapel?
You've got Mark, who's influential. He's fantastic with his music anyways, Mark, and his band's been around, but he helps these guys. He'll help them with the sounding. If the sound isn't right, he'll help them with that, but he's also got them 2 gigs so far, hasn't he? You've done Water Lane, which were a brilliant one. Dingles were there off of Emmerdale, which were good for these. And what was the other one? Beeston Festival, he got him on the stage down there. So Mark does a lot for the community as well. He just don't think of himself making money. I don't think he makes much, but he loves seeing up young bands coming on. And I know he's close with Kaiser Chiefs as well, which have come from here as well. But these love it down here, don't you?
Yeah.
You get youngsters coming in and bumping into their idols in the corridors, and that kind of access you don't get anywhere else, really, I don't think. So yeah, the community aspect of it includes pop stars and kids just starting out and everybody in between.
Mark, there's so much stuff here. How do you manage to fund it all?
I've never done this to get rich. I think anybody that's in this kind of business will appreciate that it's a very poor business. It is a labour of love, really, and I do spend a ridiculous amount of time down here for very little money, but who's complaining? We've recently converted this business into a charitable organisation because we are working more and more with community groups, youngsters, people with learning disabilities and such like. I've always tried to run this place on a kind of Robin Hood principle. Those that can afford to pay, pay, and it subsidises those that can't. So the kids get it very cheap, if not free, and those that have got an income don't mind paying. At least that's what they tell me.
What would be your advice to bands? If you could give one piece of information, what would it be?
If I had one piece of advice to give, I suppose it would be don't stop. Don't listen to anybody that tells you can't do it. If you want to do it and you believe in what you do, keep going. Somebody somewhere will appreciate it. It's just getting your product out to that right market.
For so many unsigned bands, places like the Old Chapel are so crucial in being able to give an opportunity in making it in the music industry. And as Mark has mentioned before, the Kaiser Chiefs, the Pigeon Detectives have all played here, and look how far they've got. So who knows, out of the bands that we've spoken to tonight, they might actually make it as well. Watch this space.